Hi, in this tutorial we can look at making a racing car game in Scratch. Now we're going to use a top-down view for this racing car game. The point of this tutorial is to practice making functions. Now functions are a group of commands that are put together, and every time you call the function or run the function, it does all those commands. It's a bit of a shortcut. It's really helpful. Two main ways. One, makes things easier, so you don't have to do the same thing over and over again. And two, it also helps name things. So if you call a function start, it's easy to understand what that does, rather than just having a list of commands that may or may not be understandable when you look at them at a glance. So we're going to make a racing car game. We're going to use lots of functions this time. So the first thing you need to do is you need to go to Scratch and create a new project. So we have a new project, we have a blank background, and we have the Scratch the cat. Now the first thing we need to do is name it. So racing game, whatever you want to call it, as long as it's linking to what you're doing. And the next thing is we're going to look at the Scratch cat just before we delete it. Now see how it's facing towards the right of the screen? That shows that any sprite by default is facing the right of the screen. So we need to keep that in mind when we're making our car. We make the car facing right. So I'm going to delete the Scratch cat and make a new one. I just clicked on choose. Back again. The paintbrush is what we want. Now we can make a new one. So get a rectangle, and I'm just going to do a simple car, just a simple rectangle. And I'm going to have a couple of yellow circles for the headlights. There we go. That would be great. Circle. Copy it, paste it. If you want to have something identical, it's good to copy and paste. Control-C, Control-V are the keyboard shortcuts that I use. If it's on a Mac, it's obviously Command-C, Command-V. So we've got the car. Now we need, well, one more thing before we go. See, its car's pretty big. It's a pretty big sprite. That's fine. We can always shrink it. It's best to have it bigger and put it in detail and shrink it, rather than having it small and then make it bigger, but you can't add detail. So I made it a bit big. We'll shrink it in the next video. I'm going to create again, I clicked on the wrong thing. If you just move the mouse over here, then click on paint. It'll let you paint the background. Now we want to have 3 colors. We want to have one color for the grass, one color for the road, and one color for really hard tracks, so like sand. So I've got a green for the grass, black or grey for the asphalt, and yellow for the sand. So I'm going to start off with the grass on the outside, so I'm going to change this to a green. Now you can have more colours and have it more attractive, but we can actually use these colours to help us in the future. I've got to turn the outline off. And the coding will be using these colors to get what some of the commands we've got. So with the grass in the background, now I'm going to paint. I'm just going to paint with the biggest, thickest brush I can make. And this is actually pretty decent for a track. Not the greatest. Make it a bit bigger than that. Let's see if we can make it bigger. 150. No, 100 is because I can make it. That's okay. I'm going to make it gray. That's a good one. I'm going to just do a simple loop around. Okay. There we go. So we've got the track. We now have the track. We have the car. We're ready to program. Usually I don't do the pictures and things first. Usually I do that afterwards, but as that's key to our programming, we're doing it first. Now you can also do more complex tracks and a better looking car, but you do them afterwards. Get the programming in first, and then you can do some really cool tracks and really cool cars. So in the next video we'll be looking at programming the car.